In the darkest nights, we find our light. Battered souls, but we won't lose sight. Surviving together, never alone. Through every trial, we carry on. Surviving together, never alone. Through every trial, we carry on. Surviving together, we stand tall. United forever. Strength and courage will overcome. Oh, surviving together, victorious. Never, never alone. Hand in hand, we'll face the unknown.
We see you, we hear you, and we believe you. Hey guys, how is everyone doing today? I better move my camera down just a tad. You're not going to be able to see me too well. There we go. How's that? Look good? All right. All right. Kramal, thank you for being here. Thank you for wrenching tonight. Appreciate it very much. Crystal, we've got you in town. How are you doing? How is the move? How's the, I shouldn't say move, should say do the unpacking. How is the unpacking going? Kramal, how's your weather over there? Ours was nice yesterday, and today it took a, and it's been rainy and nicky and colder, and we've got another storm on the way, and then next week it's supposed to be 50. So woohoo for the migraines. I feel them coming on. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Not really sure. But looks like that's it for us today. It's going to be a small crowd. That's okay. You know, I kept pushing this off with things that came up, and this subject, the link between gut and mental health is so huge. You know, when we get a few more people in, I'm just going to talk a little bit more about possibly breaking it down. And it depends on what everybody's interested in. Oh, good. Yeah, getting your office all done it was critical. I would try and do my, day work in my office. And I found I was so unfocused when I was looking at boxes here and boxes there. And I don't have boxes now. I just have piles of things that I still need to get done. And income taxes are on the list. My son needs some help with that. We were going to do this past Sunday, but that got a little derailed because of David being in town and him just not feeling up to it, I think. So, but before I get into topic, I just do want to announce that, and Sunday, we had our clothesline crafting and for the clothesline, or t-shirt crafting for the clothesline project. And it was good. We had a nice little crowd. I don't think many were actually making their t-shirts with us, which is fine. But Crystal and I made t-shirts, and I'm really going to try not to say today, but I'm going to fail miserably. I have a feeling. We shall see. We have had a few submissions for the t-shirts. We did get some questions as to where to send the t-shirts. You don't need to send those anywhere. All we need is a picture of the t-shirt, and then that can get emailed here to me. And I'm going to put up the email real quick. There we go. I don't know why it wasn't doing it, but okay, I'll sit up above that. How's that? Sunny and 44 where you are. That's not too bad. It's actually pretty similar to, it's not, definitely not sunny. It was not sunny today at all. It has been raining since this morning. pretty darn cold this morning. I don't know what it got up to. It was like 36 this morning at like 9 o'clock or something like that. So um, I'm sorry, I'm stalling. I've never seen this small of a crowd in here since like our beginning, but that's okay. If anybody watches this on replay, please leave a comment after the show. It really, 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 how many times can I say that helps the algorithm? And this channel has been severely lacking in the comment department. So we could certainly use some comments after the show. So even if you don't think about it, in terms of waiting around, because it takes like that minute or so for it to wrap up for processing or whatever before you can actually leave a comment. If you come to the next live, if you're a regular and you come to the next live, maybe pull up the live before that and leave a comment, if you had watched that live, and maybe do it that way. Just giving you some options. I am so guilty of it, of watching videos and not leaving comments as well. Believe me. But if you are here, Crystal Kramal, hit that like button because you're already here and I already know you're subscribed. But just go hit that like button for me if you would. There's a bunch of other lives going on right now. Wednesday's my day. How dare they? That's okay. They can watch on replay. We've got a lot to cover. It actually, watching on replay will be good because you'll get a chance to comment. And what I want comments on specifically in regards to this live is it too much science? I was really trying to figure out a way to present this issue to you with as little scientific verbiage as possible. And for some of it, it's just not possible. You need to know about it to kind of understand the baseline of where things are. I think the most interesting things that are going on with the connection between gut health and mental health have been the more recent studies. And by recent, I mean like the last 2 to 3 years, particularly the last 5 years, not really anything older than that. And do you want to hear more science? Do you want to hear more about a particular link? Gut health and depression, gut health and IBS, gut health and anxiety, gut health and, fill in the condition or whatever. There's stuff out there. There's research. This, I tried to make a combination of all of it, a good baseline. And if there's anything more specific that you want to delve into, we can certainly do that in a live. There's so much information out there. I didn't want to overwhelm everybody, but we could spend a whole live on just what to do about this. Okay. So let me know in the comments if you want more science, less science. Was it presented okay? Do you want to hear more about a particular sub-issue of it? Let me know in the comments and I'll try to let you know. Sending me another text. Please read. Okay. Hey, Janet. Yes, I got your message this morning, Misha. I got your Google link. I have just been absolutely swamped all day and have not had a chance. Okay, hang on a second. Ned, can you go into your wrench? Can you go into the private chat at the moment? Or do you want to just send me email or text? Hang on, guys. I'm so sorry. Okay. I'm not sure. I'll just wait for another text in regards to that to see what is up there. Oh, okay. Hang on one second, guys. Getting some updates on to why our numbers are probably a little low today, which is okay. This is it's a science-filled topic. I couldn't avoid it. And hey, Deborah, how you doing tonight? Thanks for dropping in. I think it's going to be a really interesting conversation, but it definitely might be something that, you listen on replay and you can go back a little bit and understand. Annette, if you're still watching, I'm sorry for the caps in that. Um, Apparently, there's some big drama going on in another community, and that's why there's a lot of people not here. So um, I'll get the lowdown later on then. Okay. Well, they can have drama in another community. It's not going to affect here or what we're doing this evening. So we will continue on. Ned, keep me posted, and no worries that you're probably going to be watching on replay. And I'm so sorry that you're sick. Let's send some hugs and love to Misha for sick. It is everywhere. I had a friend fly in from DC, and he's sick, battling a cold. So we sat across some drinks, just kind of, and try not to breathe each other's air. So far, so good, but we'll see in a couple of days, right? We'll see by the weekend. Which reminds me, the weekend is March 1st. Saturday is March 1st, guys. Holy moly. I was talking to Jen Marie the other day, and we were just both blown away. Oh my gosh, it's March already. Yeah, unbelievable. So just about 1 month until the end of the submissions for the Clothesline Project, our t-shirts for the Clothesline Project. But it being the first Saturday of the month, we are going to have Laugh Saturday. And my BFF David has graciously decided to agree to join me. So we are having Laugh Saturday with mac and cheese. Apparently, that is our name on screen together. So Laugh Saturday with mac and cheese. If you'd like to join us, I have no idea what we're going to be laughing about. We'll just be being silly if I can't figure out a topic. Last time it was silly laws. If you've got any ideas for something, silly or stupid or whatever, drop it in the comments or drop it here in the chat. I find that it does work fairly well if I kind of stick to today I'm just going to do stupid criminal stories, or today I'm going to it's a little bit easier since we have a little longer of a format and with the chat going back and forth. It's not like putting together just, picture after picture after picture. Deborah has friends sick too. It is just everywhere. And the H5N1, the swine flu, the bird flu is just out. They found it, cats can get it now. And so they're not so sure about, can cats give it to humans? Can cats give it to other cats? They're not sure. But if a cat eats a bird that has the flu, has that particular virus strain, they can get it. So if your cats are out, if they are hunters at all, which most of them are, just keep an eye on them. If you think maybe that they've been eating a bird, live or dead, they said there were, you can look it up. I can't remember, and I don't want to get it wrong. Just conditions as to what to look for in your cat. I was surprised by that. And next they're going to say your dogs can get it, which, I guess, maybe. Hugs and love. You're more mentally sick. Aren't we all, right? Aren't we all? Yeah, and it is normal this time of year. Plus, it's kind of the blah, at least in Michigan. This is the time we don't get a whole lot of sun. We get the snow melting and the slush and the mud and the muck, and the trees are bare, and it just looks all gray, and everything kind of looks the same. There's no greenery. It's just a real blah time of year. A real good time of year to go somewhere warm. So Crystal Phoenix, our friend who's been doing the t-shirt project with the clothesline project, she is in Florida now, off on her vacation. So we're not going to hear from her for another week or so, which is totally fine. Let's get into this. Oh, Krumel, thank you so much for putting up David's company, which is the Love Ray company. He did drop new products on Monday. So if you haven't, there is a com, it is .com. There is an M there. Just FYI, I know that's just a little typo on your part. It's no big deal. But it is .com, not .co. So, or at least I'm pretty sure. And his sister's photography, if you guys are interested, the House of Devon. Devon's photography is something out of this world. She is a specialty with sports and extreme sports and things you didn't think could have pictures taken. They are incredible. They are incredible. She's done a lot of work with the X Games and things like that. So, hey, Coltrane, what's up? I am just about to actually start on today's topic in depth. I'm sorry, Tommy. I'm not going behind the screen. I'm sorry. You're just gonna have to look at my eye for a second, as it was bugging me. So, what's the connection between gut health and mental health? Well, as it turns out, a whole ton, and we're really just beginning to figure it out and to do the research and do the studies that are starting to dissect this issue. It's really complicated. There's no one fix. If you have been watching anything to do with TikTok or even the ads that come on here and YouTube, you would totally think that you could take a prebiotic or a probiotic or a combination of both and you're going to fix your gut and everything's going to be hunky-dory. And it's simply not true. Can it help if you don't have a balanced gut in general? Somewhat, yes, but it's not going to automatically fix your depression. It's not going to automatically mean that your gut is balanced, because we are finding there are so many factors to do with this. They're guessing that about 50% of your gut biome is due to your own individuality, which means there's no one size fits all solution pill that you're going to be able to take or liquid that you're going to be able to drink that is going to make your particular gut biome, which is just a fancy word for saying all the bacteria and viruses and parasites that live in our gut. It's all of that stuff. Nothing that one thing that you're going to take is going to, that's made for the masses, is going to fix it, is going to balance it out. So what can we do about that? Well, we're going to talk at the end about it, but let's talk a little bit more about what it is in general. First off, what do we mean when we talk about gut health? Gut health is your GI tract's function, and your GI tract, we consider it everything from the top of your esophagus all the way through to your rectum. So everything from in one end and out the other is all considered a part of your GI tract, your total tract. So the GI tract and its role in the absorption of nutrients, digestion and elimination of waste, immune function, and mental health. All of this combined, it all goes into your gut health. And when we start breaking it down and start realizing the individual things that affect our gut health and how our brain talks to our gut, you can see how complicated this can get. So not only do we have bioindividuality, which is what we call, our own self, right? Our own health, as to why keto may work for me, fasting may work for somebody else, Mediterranean diet may work for somebody else, paleo, carnivore diet, all these different ones people swear by, and somebody else says, I tried the carnivore diet and I gained 10 pounds. What the heck? So-and-so said that they tried it and it was the only way for them. Because we're all individual people. Also, male, female. There is a big difference in our bodies and how our bodies function. And this is something that they're really just, I don't know if they're so much realizing it, but the science behind it is really coming out in the more recent years. A lot of it is being driven by women in menopause, because that is something that men simply do not go through. And they started realizing how many drugs that they created for the masses were really created with men in mind, and they didn't work the same in women. So now doctors are looking at drugs that they've been prescribing for years for things that don't work for women. And we're having to have new research and coming up with, well, what is going to work for women? So huge dichotomy between the two sexes and between every single living person. So keep all of that in mind when I speak about a link between depression and this bacteria. It's not going to be a situation where, I just need to raise this bacteria and my depression can go away. It's not one thing. These are all interconnected. Crystal says for female, it also depends on the time of the life that they're in. Their gut health is different depending on what time of life you were in. It is true. This is actually true for men as well, but females even more so, just because of the hormone issue. When our hormones start depleting, as we start going into menopause or perimenopause, we start our estrogen or progesterone production starts going down. And so we don't have as much of that hormone. The estrogen, they're realizing, can be very key in terms of some mood issues. They are also discovering that progesterone, which is something that can help with focus, can help with sleep. So all of these things, the science is just coming out with it. And it's going to be exciting in the next few years. And if you guys like this, if you like learning about the science behind why certain things are going, I'm happy to do the research. I think it's interesting, second only to reading about history. Reading scientific things I enjoy, so I'm happy to do this. But I want to make sure it's something that the audience that you guys want to hear about. And let me just take a moment to say, hey, Mike F., I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for stopping in to learn something tonight. Yeah, we're learning. We're all individuals, and there isn't any one size fits all. No worries, Janet. If you're off to dinner, best to you. If you're off to something else, keep me posted. Okay. Appreciate it. So, how do we know that the gut and the brain are connected, first of all? Because our brain is run by our nervous system, right? Our central nervous system, or CNS. Our gut, it turns out, is our second brain, and it's not real small. It's called the enteric, nervous system, or the ENS. And there are trillions of cells that line our gut and in other parts of our GI tract that are the ENS. These two talk to each other by way of the vagus nerve. Now, if you've looked into some of our old trauma videos, you will know that the vagus nerve, part of our central nervous system, our parasympathetic nervous system, is this nerve that runs from our brain. It actually runs all the way down to our colon. It's very large, but it is the highway through which hormones and other building blocks are able to talk to each other through what are called neurotransmitters. So it's chemicals that go back and forth between the two. Serotonin actually being a big one. Hey Don, how you doing? Listening at work? Oh, awesome. Chris, you want to learn more about? Perfect. No worries. All right. We'll see how many votes we get for this. Just a little bit. Sorry, guys. Easier for me to sit up than monkey with that thing up there. The camera. Oh my gosh. It's been a long day, guys. It has been a long day. I apologize. I'm a little bleary-eyed. We have been humping it for work. So I'm going to share a screen with you. And here is a visual so that you can understand and see what I'm talking about. See if this works. Nope, that doesn't work. Here we go. Cannot make it bigger than that, I don't believe. Oh, well, I can do it that way. Okay. So we'll do this first just so you can see that this is just a depiction of the gut-brain axis. So here is your brain, and here's the vagus nerve that runs all the way down through our digestive system, through our GI tract. And here you can see representation of the enteric nerves. So we have our first brain up here, our regular brain in our head that we think of, but then the enteric nerves that make up our ENS, our enteric nervous system, is our second brain. So literally, when you talk about having that gut feeling or, a second sense, but it's, your gut's telling you don't do it or whatever, that's your enteric nervous system. So gut feeling is a real thing. So when we say listen to your gut, frickin' do it. Now, I will say sometimes we're not always best at interpreting our gut. Like it's telling us something, but we're not 100% sure on it's like, is it telling me to do it or not do it? Excuse me, I'm not sure. But most often it's telling you not to do something. It's giving those negative feelings away. Now, I am blowing this up a little bit, and I have to see what you guys see. Okay, that is what you see. So, oh, I can't move it over. Shoot. Well, that doesn't work. Well, here you can at least see up here. We've got a happy face and a sad face. So our brain goes to our gut and talks to it. And then we have all of these things that come back, and our gut actually talks to our brain. So what it's saying in terms of our gut talking to our brain, all these little microorganisms in our gut, they trigger production of neurotransmitters that I was talking about, or sometimes inflammation, and that inflammation and as well as those neurotransmitters, that the signal gets back to the brain, and that can lead to changes in stress, changes in our mood, changes in anxiety, depression, changes in inflammation. Um, and let me pull it back just because we can't see the other side so well. You see, your brain, you have mental conditions that are already there. You have stress, you have anxiety, you have depression. This triggers the production of hormones, and those hormones then go through the vagus nerve, and through those neurotransmitters bring that signal down to our gut, and then it affects what our gut does. So if you've ever had just an increase in stress in general, hey Echo, how are you doing? Down at the bottom I can move, it wasn't letting me for some reason. It was irritating me. So that's what you get. So I'm gonna stop with this screen. So that's essentially where we are with the gut brain axis. That's what they call it. So that's how the two of them talk to each other. And they are realizing that they talk to each other, and each other, one affects the other much more than they ever thought. Some of the research that I'm going to go through, for decades, they thought that these particular hormones only lived in the brain, or this was the way something happened, and it was the brain told the gut. Well, now they're realizing that's not exactly what happens, or at least they think that's not what happens. The other caveat I'm going to make with all of this is a lot of the studies that they have done trying to figure out these systems are not in humans. They are in mice, they are in petri dishes, they are in from doing other things. The ones that are in human studies are ones where they're able to measure a person's gut biome, and then through a series of questions asking them and figuring out markers for depression, anxiety, overall mood. It's not 100% scientifically accurate, just in terms of that you're relying on a person's own assessment of themselves. So some of these, I think they need to have bigger samplings of. The research in this area in terms of mental health and how mood, sleep, appetite, how all of this is affected back and forth. I really do see it in its infancy. I mean, they've been doing studies for a long time, but really truly understanding what can happen is just beginning. So how does your gut get out of balance? There's an ideal balance that it would like to be at, and it's not. And there is there are markers in our stool, in our poop, that doctors can look at, and they can assess our gut health from that. I have no idea whether insurance would pay for this, whether it would pay for it under certain conditions or whatnot. But it's the type of thing where our blood work can show that everything is normal. And we can be functioning okay-ish with caveats. But when we look at our gut health, when those markers are looked at, it's really able to individualize it to us and say, okay, this is what's going on with you. Here is the imbalances that we can see in your gut health. And to me, that is where the personalization comes in. Because like I said, that all those supplements that are done for the masses, they're never going to be a one-on-one connection. You take this and that goes away. You take this, your energy is going to increase. No, it has to do with everything else that's going on in us as individuals. So I'm really excited about the research in that area and how we can look at that test and look at what's missing, look at what's low, look at what's high, and say, how can we balance this? Is it as simple as balancing my diet? Well, maybe, maybe not. Some of our medications affect how our gut health is. So we need to be able to understand that. I don't think that all medications, that it's understood what it does to our gut health, that it decreases this organism or that bacteria, or how it affects. So there's a lot of studies that need to be done in figuring out all of this. Echo says, I recently found out there's a brain barrier that certain vitamins and medications do pass back forward. Okay. I'm not sure. You mean pass into the brain? I don't doubt that. Just as they pass into our gut, into our digestive system, and things get into our bloodstream, there's into our brains, and how different medications can then be affecting our brain when it's not supposed to. It's supposed to be affecting our endocrine system, or pick something that's not neural, right? Our bodies are complex machines. And that is why I think holistic medicine is something that really needs to be looked at, and at times complemented with big pharma. But this idea where we have gotten for so many years, 50 plus years we've been going on, penicillin was like the big save all, right? You took penicillin and by golly, it cured so many things. And we were like, woohoo. And it started, I don't know if it started off, but in my mind it did. This firestorm of, you got a condition, we'll figure out a medication to be able to take to make it go away. Now we're realizing that, well, that medication might not have worked for that particular person. That medication may not have been good for this other condition. Maybe it affected condition A, but then it negatively affected that person because they had condition B, and all these side effects that they didn't realize were happening. So definitely need to look at the individual medications that we're taking. Hey, Indigo, how are you? How was your evening? Glad you are here. Thank you for dropping by. I apologize. I don't have my note. I write my notes. I'm still old school that way. It helps me remember things a little bit more. So am I looking down? I am looking down at my notes real quick, just to make sure that I get this in order and I don't miss anything. So our microbiome, it plays a critical role in the incorporation of vitamins in our immune system. About 80%, they think, of our immune cells are in our GI tract. are in our gut there. Inflammation, breaking down toxins. There's even been some research done that says good bacteria, the good bacteria in our guts that we want, can help prevent tumors. Well, how? Well, one, controlling inflammation, and two, strengthening, keeping our immune system strong. And therefore, we're not as susceptible to things like cancers, or other conditions that might grow tumors. Hey, Boop, how you doing? Boop and Budgets is here. Thank you for dropping by. Friend that met on Guy and Shine show, right? Creating Change. Wonderful channel if you want to just listen to some music, some chit chat back and forth. And if you're into guitars at all, a lot of great guitar players there. So give them a shout out if you would, Carmel, posting their stuff. And they are live from 10 to 1 Eastern time during the week, Monday through Friday. As of now, that may change in March. They've been assessing things here in this month. But anyway, I digress. All right. So let's talk a little bit, now that we've talked about our gut in general, let's talk a little bit more about the link to mental health and how our gut can do that. I read this statement, and I really thought, that kind of sums up what we talk about with gut health and mental health. And if you've ever thought or wanted to deny that there is a connection, just think about this. Our gut health is impacted by what we eat. What we eat impacts our mood, which in turn affects what we want to eat. If you've ever been stressed and you've reached for that stuff that's bad for you, you know this to be true. If you've ever been stressed and had a sour stomach or stomach cramps, you know that our brain is talking to our stomach. When we get stressed, our cortisol levels rise, which is our stress hormone. And that in turn suppresses our immune system. It increases inflammation. It increases acid production in our stomach. It increases contractions in our stomach, which is how you can get stomach cramps. It decreases our ability to digest things. Just this one aspect. So controlling our stress really is huge. And the more I looked into it, and the more I looked into how stress affects our body and the different other systems that it affects, the more you can see why it's just incredibly critical. Boop says, does it cause brain fog? Does it cause memory loss? I don't know that I would say so much memory loss as my understanding, okay, and I could be wrong on this, and someone can correct me, is that when your stress hormone increases, your brain starts to decrease all of those functions that aren't 100% necessary. And so the prefrontal cortex, which is our executive function, which helps us in executing our desires and executing, what should I do next, and our focus and all of those types of things, that's decreased. So things that we might otherwise remember very easily, we're not going to remember because that function is decreased. And it's that decrease in function that is causing what you think of as like brain fog. I could be 100% wrong on that, but that is my understanding. I'm sticking to it right now. Let's see. The stress also affects how you retain vitamins. Malnourishment does a huge damage to your system, as you found out in your 20s. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. And like we said, with that increase in stress, it decreases our ability to digest food. And if we're not digesting our food properly, our body's not able to pull out the nutrients and the vitamins and minerals and everything that it needs from the food that we're putting in our body. And most oftentimes in situations of high stress, we're not feeding our body the best foods for it either. So the foods that are actually going in our body have less good stuff to be able to be pulled out. So now you're decreasing our body's ability to pull the good stuff out of the food. You're putting in food that doesn't have as much good stuff to pull out in general. The stuff that it can pull out is often toxic to our body and will also increase our stress and the inflammation increases our stress. So you can see how all of this is cyclical. One affects the other, and it's so key to get ourselves back in balance. And that's going to be talking about whether it's our gut biome or our mental state, our mental balance, and how trying to have both of those then be balanced and working in harmony is going to be the ideal situation. And that's why when we get to the end and when we're talking about, well, what can we do about this? How can we get in balance? It's not going to be a one size fits all. It's not going to be just dealing with something up here or just dealing with something down below in our gut. It has to be a combination of the two because of the way that our bodies talk to each other. Indigo says that the two biggest things that she did is reset her eating and reset her sleep. Very, very, very big keys. Yep. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in the end. And Indigo says constipation is rude. It is rude. And it's one of those conditions that as our stress increases, again, our ability to digest and eliminate our foods increases. And that's when you're going to get constipation. You're going to get things like irritable bowel syndrome, or it can lead to Crohn's disease and other GI tract conditions that are caused by inflammation and the stress. So there was a recent study that was done in terms of stress and how it affects our body and how it talks between how stress affects our body and how our brain and our gut talk to each other when it's got heightened levels of stress upon it. They have found that people with IBS and Crohn's, people with higher stress levels have higher incidences of IBS, Crohn's disease, constipation, diarrhea, other bowel syndromes. What this recent study has showed, by recent, I mean, it was just last year, is there are what are called Brunner's glands in our small intestine. And there's a direct link between our brain through the vagus nerve to these Brunner glands. And what happens is when we're under heightened states of fear, stress, anxiety, depression, all of it, our amygdala, that survival part of our brain, things, activity in it decreases. So everything that's responsible for emotional responses, that activity decrease. So it's sending fewer signals down our vagus nerve to our Brunner's glands, which in turn are releasing less of this mucus that it normally secretes. And that negatively impacts our immune system. So, what they found was by stimulating, and this is in mice, what they found is by stimulating the vagus nerve and also giving probiotics to these mice to regulate the production of that mucus, is they were able to bring that stress level down. Really fascinating stuff. But again, it's mice. But what we're learning is the connection between the two, that there is this, our vagus nerve is the information highway, right? It's the internet of your body, or however you want to think of it. And being able to understand that there's a direct connection between the activity that's going on in our amygdala and what's going on in these Brunner's glands in our small intestines, that's pretty huge. So now they need to understand a little bit more about the Brunner's glands and how can our gut health impact it directly, irrespective of what's going on between the two, between your brain and your gut. How do we disrupt whatever is negatively impacting our system? So how are we going to try and bring things back into balance? So we're going to talk about prebiotics and probiotics and stimulating our vagus nerve here in just a minute. But that research is really key for a lot of reasons. Understanding that how our mood affects our gut, and that our brain is actively talking to different aspects of our gut system, that it's not just, okay, our brain, we send signals back and forth and it's kind of this, oh, hey, by the way, if anybody's listening type of thing. No, there are certain areas of our brain that have a direct connection, pick up, dial direct phone call to certain areas of our GI tract. And the more we can understand about these direct connections between these, the better we're going to be able to understand how our brain affects our gut, and then how in turn our gut affects our brain. Hey, Hollywood 210, what's going on? Glad you're here today. There's another study that showed that certain bacteria is linked to improved mood, to lower incidences of anxiety. And I'm going to talk about that in a second when I talk about the other stuff. Let me talk about IBS for a minute, which is irritable bowel syndrome. And a lot of people with trauma have this. Dealing with trauma, especially on your healing journey, is stressful. We are, in general, as trauma survivors, in the heightened state of awareness anyway, which affects our vagus nerve. We are constantly, kind of in that yellow state, on edge. So our vagus nerve, which is a calming influence on our body, is not as active. And so it's not talking to our gut as much. And so all of these good things that should be going on in our gut, it's not getting as much, the messages aren't getting through as well. And so what they've been discovering with IBS is pretty interesting. In looking at this symptom in particular, they are showing that for decades, they thought that it was just you have anxiety and depression, and that affects your bowels. It affects your gut, it affects your digestion, it affects, what's going on here. But it was a brain to gut issue. Well, now they're understanding that having IBS, having increased stress, even if you don't have the other mental conditions that go along, that can go along with it, that people with IBS report a heightened number. I should say this. There is an abnormal percentage of them that seem to have anxiety and depression. And so they're starting to see this link going from the gut to the brain in the conditions causing mood changes. And that it's not just our mood changes and our brain signals that are causing things in our gut. Again, something that we know, okay, we've pretty well established that the two talk to each other and the two affect each other. But how and how in each condition, because it's going to depend, is your condition inflammatory based? Is it because of an immune issue? That's going to affect, that's going to determine what is going to affect it. I hope that I am saying this all in a way that makes sense. If I'm being unclear, I apologize. I tried to condense down as much information as I could, but there, like I said, there is so much that we could talk about this. It's we could spend whole things on depression and our gut. And if that's something that you guys are interested in, let me know in the comments, and I can set out different ones, make it a series. And that is totally something that I'm thinking about. I thought, well, Saturday's already taken. Maybe next Wednesday we'll do one. And then I thought, well, maybe we'll give it a couple weeks. Maybe we'll talk about something else and we'll just continue it maybe every other week or something like that. Let me know. Let me know what you guys think about that. So the data is starting to show right now that our enteric nervous system, that second brain in our gut, is actually triggering mood changes when you have conditions such as IBS or constipation or, other bowel issues. They also found that people with these conditions had a higher number of stress markers, and they also had lower activity of their vagus nerve. No problem, Crystal. And that's why I think, if you need to listen on replay, if you're listening on replay, great. You can kind of go back a little bit if things are unclear. Please throw a question in the comments. I do look at all of them, and I will try to find an answer for you if I can understand it. I'm not a scientist by nature, but I'll do my best. I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything from here. Okay. So, on to what to do and some of the recent studies, because this is where I find things extremely fascinating. So, How do we get our gut health in line? How do we get our brain in line so that it's talking to our gut in a positive way, getting that vagus nerve active? Still not completely understanding the vagus nerve. Okay, so I'm going to just present this screen one more time, and I'll link this in the video description. I have not put any of these links right now in the video description, but I will. So here's your brain. And here's this vagus nerve. It's this huge nerve that runs from your brain all the way down. And I don't know the exact path of it, but it runs through your GI tract all the way to your colon. Okay. The colon is responsible for breaking down in the final stages for solid waste and passing that through. So it's this enormous nerve that runs from one end of our body to the next. And we have all of these nerves in our stomach that are called the enteric nerves. So the vagus nerve is just one piece of our central nervous system. So if you can imagine like your arms coming out here and your legs coming out here, you know that you've got like all those nerves in the lower back, the sciatic nerves, right? All of this is part of your central nervous system. But this vagus nerve is so huge, and it directly connects our brain to our GI tract, to our second brain in the enteric nervous system. This vagus nerve is part of what we call our parasympathetic nervous system. And so when I was talking about trauma and being able to calm ourselves, the calmer we are, the more active that vagus nerve is. I don't know if you saw a short that I did that said, if you push right inside your ear and hold, part of the vagus nerve actually runs there. And for some people, by doing this and then also just rubbing a little bit, it's activating that nerve, stimulating that nerve, which actually calms us. So when we are in that heightened state of awareness, as we generally are just in trauma survivors, when our anxiety spikes, when our fear starts grabbing hold of us, we want to try and do anything we can to calm ourselves. And calming ourselves means activating our parasympathetic nervous system. And the vagus nerve is a huge part within that. So anything that we do that calms ourselves, that helps reduce our stress levels, is beneficial not only to our brain, but it's beneficial to our gut and to get things back in alignment. So our breathing exercises, meditation, anything to make you happy. Any of our soma therapies. So dance therapy, yoga is huge. They are finding, the studies that they're doing with this are finding huge benefits in its ability to activate our parasympathetic nervous system, that calming piece of our nervous system, and be able to decrease mental conditions because of that. So decreasing our anxiety, decreasing depression. They found huge effectiveness with yoga and PTSD. I'm not sure exactly of the particular study, but I do know that there's been several done. And I won't say the jury's come in. There is I wouldn't go so far as to say cortisol levels need to be low for the vagus nerve to work. The vagus nerve's always going to work. It's just how optimal is it working? Okay. It's going to work less, or the activity in it is going to be less when your stress is high. So it's not going to be sending good signals out. It's not going to be sending any of those calming signals out when our stress level is high, because as our stress level is high, it's suppressing all of that. Think of it as like a damper, right? It's not shutting it off completely, but it's just decreasing everything. And we want to be able to lift that out and lift any damper off of our vagus nerve and allow it to be humming along nicely. And by humming along, it's calming us as it goes. That we talked about breathing exercises, humming, singing. Both of those are great ways of also activating your vagus nerve. If you feel actually well, I don't know about you guys. I can feel it in the back of my head, my vagus nerve, because it is so large and it runs back. It actually, I do believe, don't quote me on this, but I do believe it splits, and it's here and it's here. And actually, if I rub mine too long, my scalp goes numb. I know it's the most bizarre thing. I don't know why. I don't know. I got to imagine it's not a good thing. I don't know if it's a bad thing, but yeah, if I rub it too long, my scalp will go numb. I mean, like for days and days and days, my scalp will be numb. I can't, I can not totally numb, but it dampens. So I don't know. That's just kind of a weird side note. So meditation, other calming activities, these are really important because they're going to decrease our stress. What else? Avoiding highly processed foods, packaged foods. The closer you can eat to the ground, the better, basically. The closer you can eat to organic, the better. The closer you can eat to whole foods, things that our plants have not, by plants, I mean manufacturing plants, have not done anything other than to maybe cut it up and package it for us. If you can eat farm to table, that's a great option, depending on where you are in the country. I would love to be closer to an area where I could have more of like a co-op situation where you're buying direct from the local farmers. I don't know how expensive that is these days, but it's so much better for you. The least amount of pesticides that you can get, the least amount of anything that's touched your food, basically, has been injected into it, sprayed on it, the better it is for you. There was a phrase, and I honestly have not looked it up, but I'll leave it to you guys. It's called the Clean 15. This is in terms of food. The Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen. So the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen. And basically what this is it's classifying your vegetables and fruits and stuff in terms of what generally is processed the least, has the least amount of pesticides or herbicides, or I'm looking for the word preservatives on them, and what has the most. So what are things that you want to try to, the Dirty Dozen ones would be ones where you try to avoid buying in the store, or if you want to buy organic, make sure that whatever that organic symbol is, what do they mean by organic? It should be that it has not been sprayed with chemicals, but you want to make sure. This is why, organic meat has become a huge thing, because you don't have growth hormones that have been injected into the animals. You don't have them eating processed grains. So the meat is just going to be healthier for you. So the better we can eat, the better it is for us. And we hear this a lot. And why is this important? Well, it becomes the difference between prebiotics and probiotics and how you're getting them. And I didn't quite understand this before, but so prebiotics is your food basically. And probiotics are live organisms generally found in yeast and bacteria, certain bacterias that help actually digest the prebiotics. So the prebiotics are the food for the probiotics. Technically, prebiotics are non-digestible carbohydrates, and they are the food for the probiotics. What are probiotics, you ask? I'm so glad you asked. So probiotics we find them in fermented foods. So fermented yogurts, cheeses. I wrote down a little bit more over here. So fermented dairy. So yogurt, kefir, which is a fermented milk, something called kombucha, which is a fizzy drink, which is fermented cheeses, aged cheeses. So we're talking about aged cheddar, Parmesan, Swiss. Most of your hard cheeses are going to be aged. So they have a natural fermentation process that is good with them. Sourdough bread has fermented yeast in it. And so sourdough bread, if you're going to be eating bread, that's a better one for you because it's got some probiotics in it that way. Did I mention yogurt? Yep. So other fermented foods are things like sauerkraut, pickles that are non-vinegar brined, that are naturally fermented. I don't know that I've had a pickle that's not been brined with vinegar. So you definitely would have to look at the ingredients for that. So sauerkraut, kimchi, miso. These are fermented foods. They are very good I love sauerkraut. I do have to say, I love Polish sauerkraut, the sour sauerkraut. I don't like the sweet sauerkraut very much. And I love yogurt. And if I can find pickles that aren't vinegar brined, that would be something interesting. Kefir, I can tell I would not like to drink because it is sour. But I did read a recipe that talked about, instead of using milk with your oatmeal, use kefir, and then you could use a little bit of organic honey because that is also very good for you to sweeten it up, and then have some berries and things in with your oatmeal. Now, I know there's people like Dr. Gundry that say oats are for horses and they aren't good for you. And I'm not going to get into that whole dietary thing that way because honestly, I don't have a clue. You listen to one dietitian and they say this, you listen to another dietitian and they say that. It's difficult. Oh, Carmel, I am so jealous. He says he is lucky, which you are. You buy your meat straight from the farm. We used to have a place, Ada Valley Meats, and we used to be able to just, I remember growing up, my parents would buy like a side of beef from them. And it came right from the farm to the Ada Valley would process it and cut it all up, and then we would buy it. And so that was great. Indigo says, love having miso, especially as a base for ramen. That I have never tried. I like ramen. Miso itself is a little spicy for me. But using it as a base in some things, that I can definitely see. Oh yeah, breakfast yogurt, granola, berries, absolutely. Sometimes Cheerios. Yeah, crackling oat ran into them, and I'm just an addict. That thing is my crack, and that's why I cannot have it in the house. It's all not that great for me. In little handfuls, maybe, but I could eat an entire box, and that's just not good, right? And I do love yogurt. When I start getting yogurt, I want to eat like a tub, right? That should last somebody, normal person, like a week, and I'm just like, yeah, I get pretty bad with it. But Greek yogurt over your standard yogurt, I guess, because it is fermented more. So the more fermentation that a product has, the better it is for your gut. Our guts really like it because it contains certain bacterias that are good bacteria, what we consider good bacteria. And this is where I was going to mention before. So there was a study done that linked good bacteria to improve mood and anxiety. And this is where I warn you, it's not a one-to-one, right? We improve this and therefore we're going to improve our anxiety. No, it's based on everything else that's going on with you. But what it shows is this stuff is good for you. And so if we can increase our lactobacillus bacteria and our bifidobacterium, that can help with our anxiety and our moods. So these are two types of really good bacteria. Where do we find them? Well, we find both of them in kefir and yogurt, so fermented dairy, and the lactobacillus we also find in fermented foods like sauerkraut and kimchi and miso. So these studies are going to be continuing, I'm sure. We're going to find out more and more information about good bacteria, I'm sure, and bad bacteria. But I think the overriding message from it, I don't know, is really going to change. Fermented foods are good for us. Fermented dairy, fermented vegetables, and the yeast, the active yeast in sourdough bread, fermented yeast. These are all things that are good for us. Now, specific bacteria that they're going to find that are good for this condition or that condition, it very well may be. But again, keep in mind, 50% of our gut biome is individual to us. Nobody else is going to have one exactly like it. So that makes it challenging when they're doing this research. They can't say that there's, you improve this and it's absolutely going to improve your mood. It's going to improve your anxiety. No, what they can show is there's a correlation between the two. And that's why it's not any one of these steps on how to help balance our gut and balance our brain connection with our gut. It's trying all of them, or trying a few of them, or trying a combination of this, that, and the other. And some of it's just kind of it's a trial and error game to see what works for you. I am a female and I have this particular gut. So what's going to work for me? I can tell you fasting works for me. In general, they think that it is good if you can include some sort of fasting periods during your day, particularly if you tend to like your larger meals. Having that time in between, our bodies aren't meant for constantly eating huge amounts of food. And so giving it that break to be able to digest our food, repair our stomach linings, because weakened stomach linings can mean that certain foods and toxins are actually passing straight out. straight out of our gut, and they call it that leaky gut syndrome. But it is possible for our body to repair that leaky gut all on its own, particularly when the offending food is no longer in our stomach. So, and you can play with the fasting periods. They can be as small as, say, 4 to 6 hours. But ensuring that we're getting some sort of fasting period in there. Now, water, coffee, tea, these types of things don't usually count in terms of your fasting. However, you have to look at the caffeine intake. This is something I learned from my doctor, that for every ounce of caffeine you take, you need an equal amount of water to cancel it out. So she wants me drinking 80 ounces of water a day. If I drink 24 ounces of caffeine, I actually need to take in 104 ounces, which is nearly a gallon, of water a day to cancel out that caffeine that I'm getting. And yes, I know I have caffeine in my hand, and I have not had my water intake today. Generally, I'm pretty good, but I did not refill my water pitcher today, and that was bad of me. So, fermented soy sauce. Now, this I have never heard of because I love soy sauce. I absolutely love soy sauce. Fermented soy sauce or ketchup. I'm assuming you're not meaning like regular ketchup from tomatoes. Ketchup. You're trying to type something else, Kremel? That may have, yeah, as you spell it over there, I'm not sure. Fermented soy sauce. I might have to look that up. Indigo, you had read my mind. I have these, and they fit almost 32 ounces themselves. More like 28, otherwise I'm sloshing. But I have a pitcher like you would make lemonade in or something like that. And so I have to go through 2 of those pitchers a day, basically, to get all my water. And the source of where I fill the water pitcher is downstairs, and I have a glass right next to that. And then I have this one up in my office, which goes between my office and my bedroom. So you're reading my mind in that. This is what I started doing, and it has drastically increased my water intake. Also, I'll do a plug for them. Pure Zero. To me, they're the best water treatment around. Better than Brita, any of the other ones that are out there. It really, if you are somebody who are finicky about your water, I can taste minerals. I can taste metals in water, and it makes me not like it and not want to drink it. Some people could drink anything and they're like, they don't care. My dad can drink the hardest well water, and he's like, whatever, it's water. He doesn't taste any difference. But I do, and I can't even choke it down. So for me, that made a enormous difference, because then I didn't have to rely on bottled water, because I hated it. I hated the plastic bottles that I was going through. I used the individual filters, like Brita filters, on a cup, so it filters it as I was drinking, and it still just wasn't what I liked. I don't know if Pure Zero makes those, but they do have the pitcher, and they do those, and I absolutely love it. Drinking through a straw helps you drink more water. I have straws around here, and sometimes I have them and sometimes I don't. I've found that since I've gotten the drinking water that I like, it doesn't matter as much to me. But that definitely is a little trick that you can do. Some people are more sippers than gulpers, and it helps them to be able to drink throughout the day. So anything that can get your water intake up is going to be good, because I would bet that most of us do not get what we need to on a regular basis. Deli over prepackaged sandwich meats. Yeah, definitely. And you got to be careful, even with the deli meats, how much they have been injected with things. looking if there's added water content, if there's added preservatives. So even in the ones that you'll get from the deli counter, they are generally better for you. I did read a link about lower levels of tryptophan in our bodies that was linked to depression. And tryptophan, if you don't know, is that thing that makes us sleepy with turkey. So I'm not really sure. I didn't look on the other foods that you can get tryptophan from, but you definitely can get it from turkey. Okay, CashApp is an Indonesian soy sauce. I am very intrigued by this because, like I said, I love soy sauce. I've got some recipes that I either marinate my meat or just when I'm done cooking the meat, that and a little hoisin sauce and some other things in it go through. Yeah, absolutely. If you absolutely cannot stand straight water, and I know that there are people out there, and I used to be one of them. Before I got my Pure Zero crystal, I was one of them. I was adding Mio to everything. It's a flavor additive. And then when I found they had Mio with caffeine, whoo-hee, that was bad because I didn't realize. Now I know I was canceling myself out. I'm drinking it, right? But I'm drinking caffeine. So I'm canceling my water intake out. So if you could do the ones without caffeine, and I know that there are new drops out there now. Shoot, I forget what they're called, but there's newer companies out there as well that their hook is that they're a cleaner version of Mio, basically. So there's no color additives, there's no preservatives, and it's just a cleaner, better flavor enhancer. That's all I can tell you from that, from what I'm remembering from my brain. So what else can we do to help with our gut balance and our brain balance? Well, eating smaller portions, and that kind of goes along with if you don't fast, eating smaller portions that allows your digestive system to keep up with the digestion. For some people, they need to have those smaller meals throughout the day. It works best for them. They have 6 snacks basically, or 3 small meals and a couple of snacks. That works for them, stretching it out. It is a nice way to be able to keep ourselves full longer. And again, that may work for one person and it may not work for the next person. That is why certain diets work for certain, and I say diet in quotation mark where I'm using it as like the paleo diet, a way of eating is a better way to say it. Carnivore, Mediterranean, the list goes on, right? Some of those may work for you, some of those don't. Low carb, no carb. I've found personally high protein, low carb works well for me, and fast and doing the fasting periods. It allows my body to reset. It likes it. Now that's now. I'm not quite in menopause yet. I'm in perimenopause. I've also recently gotten some hormone replacement. So my body's in a real flux state. I don't know what's going to happen with it. We'll see over the next several years. So as Crystal was saying earlier, it depends on where you are in your life. What natural hormones is your body producing? What's it lacking? And so talking to your doctor, talking to a nutritionist can be very, very helpful in figuring out where you are as your baseline. 7:30. I don't want to go too far over a couple hours because this is a dense subject that we've been talking about. I think maybe I will do my next live on some of the recent studies that have come out in the last couple of years, because they're really fascinating, and I think it's going to take me more than a half an hour to really do those justice. But it will build on the information that we've been talking about here and understanding why these studies are important. What else can we do for increasing the gut balance that we have? One of the things that they say is limiting antibiotic use, but also just limiting drug use in general. The fewer things that you're putting into your body, the better. Now, you have to be on medication for something, be on it. I am not telling you not to take something because it's going to be better for your gut. Sometimes we have to do this, weighing, right? Is it better for me not to be on it and to have a better gut? Or am I going to negatively impact my gut a little bit, but this medication is totally going to be controlling my blood pressure or my, whatever, right? So limiting what we, take in is extremely important. And Mike, that's great that you're going to research the vagus nerve some more. It is VAGEGUS. But I'm sure you put in any spelling and it will pop up. Have both gut and headache issues. Yeah, it's truly fascinating. I am so interested in having my poop analyzed. There are actual places that you basically mail it out. They send you like some a package in dry ice or whatever, and you mail your poop out to them, and they will analyze it for you and tell you what your gut is doing. To me, that when we're talking about bioindividuality, how much is 50% being personal to me? These studies are interesting because they're giving us a window into our bodies. They're giving us a window into what can be affected and how it can be affected. But we can't say that this is the case in you. Maybe it is. But because we have half of our body being half of our gut is individual to us. Yeah, I'm real keen at this point. I'm real keen on it. But I will say, I think that I've got work that I can do first in terms of what I'm eating, when I'm eating, to be able to balance it myself. If you're doing all of these things and you're still finding that something's out of whack, that might be a good time for you to say, okay, talk to your doctor, see about shipping your poop off and have it analyzed. They might find something that's interesting. They may go, you're really lacking in this, that, and the other thing. For some reason, your stomach may not be absorbing this particular nutrient very well, or, whatever the case is. So if you're doing everything you think you should be and you still don't have any answers, that might be an option. I'll talk about this one now just because we're talking about poop, but there is a new therapy that has been developed. It's called fecal matter transplant. Sounds yummy, right? They actually take fecal matter, which is a representation of your gut, and in people who have very well balanced guts, and then however they take everything out of that, condense it down into a pill, and they give you that pill. I still have issues. I just can't get it out of my head that I'm swallowing somebody else's poop. I know that's not quite true, but if I had no other options, I'd sign me up. First one, you know, candy coated or something, and I'll just no worries. Otherwise, I'll try these other things. I'll eat some more fermented dairy and some more fermented foods. I know, right, Mike? I actually saw a company. Oh God, I can't remember what his name is, but there are several of the companies that do the collection of the good poop, and you have to be in tip-top shape. Um, your body mass index has to be great. Your body fat, layer has to be great. I mean, you got to be tip top everything. So it's like 1% of the population that can do this. But yeah, then they pay you for your poop. Just imagine. Just imagine. No way. Oh my gosh, the things you learn. Carmel says that's done yearly by them over there. You send in your poop and they check you for cancer and a lot of other things, and it is free. Carmel, you're in the Netherlands, right? Correct me if I am wrong, but I do believe that's the case. That is fabulous. Yeah, the more that they're realizing about what our poop represents and how much that they can tell from it about our bodies is really amazing. That they could possibly show cancers yeah. Wow, they do that as a yearly, just an actual annual. You would think they want colonoscopies done of everybody, right? But before you have a colonoscopy done, which is where they go and they look up your butt and they look at your colon and make sure you don't polyps or, blockages, things that they give you medication so you clean out your system, right? You would think that maybe they would have you have a little bit left or collect some of what you're expelling so that they could check that along with checking the health of the inside. To me, that makes sense. That reminds me too, I gotta get one. Sorry, guys. They were supposed to call and they haven't. So I gotta call them in regards to it. But I have my breast MRI on Monday, so I got enough things that I'm thinking about beyond my colonoscopy. Getting that. Exercise, that's another big one. Exercise, because it helps. Exercise definitely helps with the regulation of your nervous system. Exercise can calm your nervous system. So by activating a piece of our nervous system, activating the parasympathetic nervous system and calming the automatic nervous system. Routine exercise is just good for it's good for our digestion because it gets all those juices flowing in there. I have not done a specific lookup on exercise and gut health. I do know that there's a correlation, but I honestly couldn't tell you the exact mechanisms of it. But I do know that it helps immensely with not only digestion, but joint health. It's like the achier we are, the less we want to move. And sometimes it is the exact thing that we need. Keeping our joints lubricated and moving is going to help prevent arthritis. And when you have arthritis, the last thing you want to do is move that joint because it hurts, right? So getting something, potentially taking a supplement in that case, to help lubricate your joints. There's numerous different things you can take. Glucosamine can straighten. You can take some naproxens, which are like leave, that sort of thing, can help with the pain aspect of it and being able to keep moving your joints. Now, if you don't have any cartilage, if your joint, don't have any cushion there, and you're just bone on bone, you got a different issue. So always talk to your doctor about things. Exactly. And that's just where I'm going with this. Always talk to your doctor, because it depends on the type of arthritis. If you've got bone on bone, that movement's not going to be doing it a whole lot of help. Yeah, I'm seeing everybody who's had their colonoscopies done. I just learned that it used to be 50 is when they recommended in the United States that you start getting colonoscopies. Now they are recommending that you start getting them at 40. That's a big difference. That is a huge difference that they've gone, like that. They did the same thing with breast screenings for women, recommending originally at 50, and now they're down to 40 as well. So huge benefit to being able to check in with your physician. I know that it can be expensive in some areas, so whatever you can do to at least get some baseline health results can help you if you aren't under somebody's care, if you are going to try and do this just on your own. Crystal, are you telling me that they don't knock you out normally? Because they knock you out in the US. I mean, I think you can specify that you're okay being awake for it, but they knock you out for it. Yeah. If you're in the US and you've had one, let me know. Do they knock you out? Have they knocked you out? I'm pretty sure they do. Maybe it depends on region. I'm pretty sure over here they do. I mean, I think I could do it if they don't, but I'd rather be knocked out. I'd have to ask my parents. They've had a bazillion of them. That was my understanding, because they always had to have a driver because they were so groggy after. Mike says only 2 of his 6 he was awake. I wonder how they decide. Is it like just the doctor or the hospital, or how long they think the procedure is going to be? That's curious. There is an author. Her name is Mary Roach. Yes, Roach is actually her last name, Roach. And she has written a series of books on the human body. And one she wrote about end to end. So what happens in your GI tract from the time you swallow something, time you put it in your mouth, from the time that you expel waste. And in order to understand a little bit more about the latter stages, she chose to have a colonoscopy done while she was awake so that she could look at the screen along with the doctors. That's some investigative journalism. That's dedication, I tell you. But if you ever wanted to learn about the body in a way that doesn't dumb it down to a second grader level, you do need to still put some thought into understanding what she says, but she also deals with it with humor. And I found it a really good read. So I've read several of her books on the human body, and I would definitely recommend them to anybody else who's interested in learning more just about generalities of our systems, what they do, how they do it, that sort of thing. Mike says it's doctor preference on whether they knock you out. Well, I want the doctor who's like, yeah, knock you out. Standard over there to give you a little bit of anesthesia. You're awake, but you have a little bit of a buzz. So you're kind of in that la la land in between. Okay. Enough so you're not moving or panicking or freaking out. I can see that. Be interesting to see what my particular doctor then does. I have no idea who. We'll see. I have no idea who I'm going to be talking to. It should be interesting. Um, Hi, Body. How you doing? So good to see you. So good to see you. It's just going to remind everybody, since we are at getting towards the top of the hour, that Saturday will be Laugh Saturday because it's March 1st. Cannot believe it. But we, as long as David's still going to be with me, which he swears he plans on being there, we're going to have Laugh Saturday with Mac and Cheese. Otherwise, it's just going to be with Mac. I do have my contrast mammogram on Monday. A little nervous about it, but doing okay with it. I'm assuming that nothing's going to happen. I just want to know the dye that they inject. I want to know if I'm going to be able to like just look down and see it, like, or will it be so inside that I'm not going to be able to see it from the outside? I don't know. I'm kind of curious about those things. So we'll see. So that'll be Monday morning for me. So I won't have an update probably until next Saturday is my guess with that. I'm not sure how long it's going to take for the radiologist to read it and for them to get some information back to me, but we'll see. But Body, I know you're going through a bunch of stuff too, and so we're sending out lots of hugs and love and prayers and good juju and whatever you send out, whatever you feel in your heart, please, if you could send us some to Body, that would be awesome. So, and much healing vibes to you, girl, and I'd love it if you reached out in an email to you. I should have done that, and I haven't, and I apologize for that. But I will try and do that, or do that to me. Hearts for all who needs it. Thank you, Crystal, very much so, because I think we all need that in our own little way. Whether it's our individual physical health, whether it's our individual mental health, we're all struggling with something. It doesn't matter who you are in life, whether you're struggling with trauma or not. We all have our life ups and downs. And if you're in here, but everything's going great, bully for you. I am excited. And I say bully in the best way, bully for you. And just send some of that love and good juju out to other people. And that's all we ask. All right. I think with that, we're going to wrap things up. Next gut mental health show that we will do will be on the most recent studies, because there are at least a dozen of them that I found fascinating, where the information that they're getting off of it really could lead someplace. Some of these studies are in the area of potential therapies, what they've learned about the gut bacteria, what they've learned in terms of how to replicate some of it. Others, hey Kim, how you doing? No worries. Yeah, we're just about to wrap up, but as we said, it's a science dense subject. There's just no two ways about it. And so watching on replay might be a good thing. If you do watch on replay though, I do ask, guys, could you shoot out a comment? If you're watching now, if you could hang out for a second afterwards, or maybe tomorrow or the next live stream, shoot a comment onto this one. Those comments are really what help the algorithm go, oh, people really like this content. Let's push it out. And that's how some people are getting their information I've got my stuff on the back end that I do with keywords and all of that to try and get the word out. I just want to reach more people. I don't care about the numbers for YouTube's sake. I care about them because that means that more people are getting this message. More people are getting the opportunity to be included in the SaaS community, which is just so phenomenal. You guys are incredibly supportive. Everyone who comments to me directly, everyone who emails me directly says what a wonderful group that we have over here, how welcomed they felt from the first time that they stopped by. And I can't thank you enough. Each and every one of you are what makes it that way. Thank you. It's what I wanted for this space, and that you guys have taken up that mantle as well and run with it and are so, opening your arms to everybody who comes here is just phenomenal. And I thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, if you haven't hit that thumbs up button, if you haven't subscribed, why not? You got more content like this, more trauma content, which I haven't directly touched on in a while. So I think we're going to do that next Wednesday. We'll do something directly related to trauma. Well, although this is related to trauma, right? Because of what trauma survivors are generally going through, it's also applicable to population at large, right? So, hey, Rick, how you doing? Thanks for dropping by. I always appreciate it when you stop in at the end and say hi. Know that you're watching, know that you're there. That's great. Thanks, Rick. Rick has a channel. It's a comedy channel. He puts out little shorts, just short little videos, just things that make you smile. So if you're ever looking for something that just, need a little bit of a laugh during the day, you can always head on over to his channel and get a little bit of a laugh. And Kamel's thrown up Kim's channel, My Other's Keeper. She is on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so just opposite of me during the week at 6 p.m. Mountain, 8 p.m. Central. I think I'm getting that right. I may be a little off on that. I know sometimes the time's been a little bit different. So go ahead and check her channel directly for her times and when because I know occasionally they take 6 Central. Okay, so 7 Eastern. All right, so not Mountain, 6 Central. Okay, got it. On Tuesdays and Thursdays. And she also does devotionals during the weekday, so you can check out her channel and everything that she does over there. And then there's Jimena. Hey, no worries, girl. You'll have to listen on replay, but like we said, it's a dense topic. There's a lot of stuff to go through with this. Oh, Crystal, that's where I got the Mountain. It's 6 p.m. Central until the time change, and then it's 6 p.m. Mountain. Time change. Ugh. For all of you guys who don't know, Jimena Magic of Healing, she has a wonderful channel as well. As she says, she is a proclaimed person of hippy dippy stuff. Some of it, and some of it she covers just mental health matters, mental health issues like we do over here. She was talking about narcissistic abuse the other day, and it was a powerful show. It was real personal, and it was also very informative in talking about the differences between narcissistic abuse and just toxic relationships, because narcissism has kind of been, one of those words that gets thrown around a lot now. Someone's abusive, they're a narcissist. Maybe they're just selfish and self-centered, because for narcissism, for narcissistic abuse, there's certain things that need to be taken into consideration, certain things that need to be there. So definitely check her out. If you like crystals or tarot, she does personal tarot readings. You can email her. Her email's in her video descriptions, and she's done several for me, and they've been very interesting. Maybe we'll do one live here sometime on here and figure it out. Yeah. Got a few things that I want to happen in my life first. And then maybe we'll do a reading over here. I think that'd be interesting. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe in April-ish. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So we'll see. Okay, Crystal, that's great. I will definitely look for that. Sending me an email about a possible topic. Love it. Yep, I love it. If you guys have any ideas and it's not something that you want to drop down in the comment field, if it's something you want to email me about, you feel more comfortable doing that, please do. SurvivingTogether, SASS@gmail.com. Send all of your t-shirt pictures to that address as well. Just put Clothesline Project in the subject line so that I know to collect them all into a certain folder. And that way they won't get lost in the shuffle at all. But my shuffle is not very great, so I don't think I'll have to worry about that in general. All right, guys. With that, I think it's it. We're just on 8 o'clock. So I'm going to hightail it out of here and meet a friend for a drink. And then it is Betty Bye time for me and back up to work tomorrow. So, and remember, Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have Laugh Saturday with mac and cheese, and it should be good. Oh, interesting, Rick. That'd be wonderful. I have a lady writing a book that's done. I'm trying to get her to contact you. I would love it. Absolutely. Absolutely. She can throw your name out there if it's helpful, just so I know where it's coming from. But I would absolutely love it. Yeah. There's been several people I've spoken to from other lives that I've connected with who have stories that they're wanting to share. So we're kind of figuring out what that story should be, kind of crafting that a little bit behind the scenes. But I definitely look for a few more interviews here, I would say in the first half of the year. I'm not sure how many we'll do, but we'll see. It's an essay subject. That's fine. More than willing to talk to her. And shoot me the name of the book. Is it already published? Because she's done writing it, but it hasn't gone to the publisher yet. I'm definitely interested. Definitely interested, Rick. All right. Again, thanks everybody for stopping in today. We are going to continue this series. It is going to be the gut and mental health connection series. I don't know if I'll continue with part 1, part 2, part 3, part 5. We'll see it. Publisher has it. Oh, awesome. Definitely let me know when it gets through. I'm very interested in those subjects. Nope, those ones I'm going to save. Okay. So with that, we're going to end the show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And I look forward to seeing you guys on Saturday for some laughter, because laughter is the best medicine. Please remember, you are worthy. You are valuable. And you're loved just the way you are for who you are. Giant hugs and love from me. Mwah. Remember, here, surviving together, never alone. Guys, have a great night. Bye.
In the darkest night, we find our light. Battered souls, but we won't lose sight. Surviving together, never alone. Through every trial, we carry on. Surviving together, never alone. Through every trial, we carry on. Surviving together, we stand tall, united.
We hear you and we believe you.